The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Good morning. This is Mike Stoller for the Stoller Real Estate Report. Statistics, economic reports, those are interesting topics. Where do you get the information? What's happening in the city? What information provides developers and builders the right information to start building new projects and renting different space? So today I have Chris Bradicich, who is the Director of Partnership and Growth at Live XYZ. So what is Live XYZ?
Live XYZ is the first ever living map of New York City, and we track every place across every block of every borough that is public facing. Specifically, that's over 160,000 storefront and retail spaces, and we bring an innovative mapping and analytics platform that is powered by boots on the ground and powerful cloud systems that make tracking change over time possible for the first time in the retail sector.
So what is the information provided recently? I know you just came out with a press release.
So Live XYZ has been used for several years now as the official source of the storefront vacancy rate across New York City. That's across all of the boroughs, community districts, etc. And we also are able to track with high fidelity and completeness industry trends. So we're able to look at any individual neighborhood or corridor and understand what has happened to storefront and retail occupancy, as well as business composition over time. And this information has been collected comprehensively every quarter, going back to the third quarter of 2023. So we have 10 quarters consecutive of really high fidelity data for New York City. And we also have historical data that goes back pre-pandemic, so we can understand what happened during the pandemic period, and then what are the quarter-over-quarter pulse of the city changes over the past 3+ years.
So let's talk about some of the pulse and the trends taking place now.
Yeah, so obviously with a global pandemic, New York City with a massive population of office workers and local storefront businesses, and it's over 130,000 storefront businesses across New York City. It was affected very significantly, particularly Manhattan. And the area of 42 Below, which starts at 30th Street, goes north to 42nd, and stretches from 8th Avenue across to Bryant Park, was one of the hardest hit areas in Manhattan. It had certainly a substantial effect of the remote work conditions that affected the economy overall in the United States, certainly in New York City, and a lot of storefront businesses were wiped out in this area. Now, what's been incredible to see in Manhattan overall, and particularly in this 42 Below corridor, is a rapid resurgence into growth mode. People have returned to office. There's an understanding that there's a need for much more residential units across Manhattan, across New York City, and this is fueling an accelerated occupancy rate for retail spaces across Manhattan. I can certainly go deeper into 42 Below or any other area.
Let's talk about the 42 and below. It's an important area, especially since you have Port Authority, Penn Station, and so on.
Yeah, so this area pre-pandemic had a lower vacancy rate than Manhattan overall. So 42 Below had just over a 12% vacancy rate. Manhattan overall, a little south of 13%. Now, by the third quarter of 2023, so about 3 years after the pandemic, the 42 Below vacancy rate had reached 17.5%, which was substantially higher than the 15.3% for Manhattan overall. However, we have seen a significant increase in the occupancy rate, where now 42 Below is at nearly 86%, close to the 86.75% for Manhattan overall. And if you look at the rate of change, it's just leasing is happening faster in this corridor. We can also see why that's happening. So there's certainly been a return to office. We also have recognized significant updates to city zoning led by the Department of City Planning. And there is a Midtown South mixed use plan that was passed last year that expects to bring nearly 10,000 new residential units into the 42 Below and Midtown South area.
Does that relate to the city of Yes?
Yes, the city of Yes zoning for economic opportunity, as well as the updates to housing legislation, have put the city in a position to grow faster into what New Yorkers need it to be. And this the most historic updates to city zoning in over 60 years. LiveXYZ is very proud to have worked closely with the Department of City Planning on that work. And overall, LiveXYZ actually supports over 50 government agencies, over 100 business improvement districts, chambers of commerce, and other economic development partners. So we truly do provide the index for storefront and retail for the city of New York. Now, moving from just the occupancy picture into what has changed in terms of makeup, when we look at the overall recovery from the pandemic, one category stands above all, which is food. People are looking for more places to eat across New York City, across Manhattan, and especially in 42 Below.
Okay, especially also the food courts, right?
Yes, we actually supported a Bloomberg story that highlighted Wonder and other food courts, but this actually goes beyond that. In our food category at LiveXYZ includes restaurants, coffee, sweets, and juice. And overall, what we're seeing in 42 Below is 17% growth in the last 2 years alone of the number of restaurants relative to 6.25% for Manhattan. 6.25% is already big growth. There are more than 6% more restaurants in Manhattan than 2 years ago. But in 42 Below, that's over 17%. And when you look at coffee, sweets, and juice, 42 Below is up over 13%. Manhattan overall up over 10.5%.
What about gyms?
The gyms was another data point that just jumped off the screen. And I would go beyond just strictly gyms and say body and fitness. So there are several more gyms in 42 Below than there were before, but we also see more yoga studios, Pilates studios, and also personal care, where we see more nail salons, hair salons, barber shops, brow lashes, and makeup. Overall, the types of places.
What about hospital offices, urgent care centers?
So that was not one of the fastest growing areas, but just taking a quick look at the data, what we're able to see is that the number of pharmacies has been stable and actually growing.
That would be surprising. I figured more of them had been closing.
Yeah, so in Manhattan overall, we've seen the number of pharmacies decrease. But over the last year, at least, in 42 Below, that has been stable. But in terms of the hospitals and healthcare, I would need to look one click deeper. That was not something that kind of jumped off the screen to us when we analyzed the data.
So what happens in areas that are not in the zone with the information that you have?
So when you look at our map, which is available at livexyz.com. We also power the Small Business Services Shop Your City map, and our maps are embedded as well across business improvement districts. You actually can see all of the places you can go that are open to the public. The only things that are missing are going to be the exclusively residential buildings, the exclusively office buildings, and then industrial facilities.
What about the offices that have been converted to residential?
So in every office and residential building that has retail storefronts for lease, we are tracking the occupancy actively. We've seen an overall trend that the number of storefronts totally in the city has gone slightly down from over 144,000 at the ground floor level to now about 142,500. And a lot of that is explained by the conversion of many buildings into residential units, as well as the consolidation of spaces across the city.
So how would my listener get access to the information?
LiveXYZ is a full-service data provider, analytics provider, serving over 50 government agencies, and you are now actually hearing it for the first time that we would love to bring in more partners. from the real estate ecosystem, from companies that are serving small businesses. You can get in contact with me personally at chris@livexyz.com. You could contact support@livexyz.com. You can visit our website at livexyz.com. And our information can be made available citywide for particular areas. We've been supporting many particular retail reports and stories that have been coming up. And we'd love to just get in contact with more folks in the industry that understand the importance of retail and the opportunity for growth that exists today and in the future.
I'm happy to have you today and to provide some information to the general public. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Putting off replacing your window treatments because you think it's complicated? At Blinds.com, we spent 30 years proving it doesn't have to be. And right now, our Spring Black Friday sale makes it easier than ever. Whether you want to DIY it or have a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we've got you. Free samples, real design experts, and zero pressure. Just help when you need it. Shop up to 45% off site-wide. Huge savings on doorbusters. Plus a free professional measure now during the Blinds.com Spring Black Friday sale. Rules and restrictions apply.